Welcome to 100 Plus Black Men's Advice to Future Generations here at Wisdom of Our Elders. If you're feeling the content, please like and share the videos. Also, please subscribe so you don't miss anything that we put out. Today, we're going to be talking about drugs.
Greetings. Who I am is not as important as why I'm here.
Greetings. Welcome to the evolution of the mind. Who I am is not as important as why I'm here. Divine purpose has alerted me to the time. I am here to establish a platform to share the wisdom of our elders, reviving some of the lessons that we left behind, from their challenges, all the things they overcame, to their triumphs, celebrating the wealth of their experiences, where we can learn our past, we can share our present, and we can grow our future. The door is open. Join me on this journey through the wisdom of our elders.
Who I am is not as important as why I'm here.
Welcome to 100 Plus Black Men's Advice to Future Generations. We're here with my former colleague and longtime friend Riley, who's blessing us with the wisdom of his experience. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Good afternoon and thank you for having me.
Well, the prevalence of drug use is widely known, especially in our community. What makes this an important topic for you?
Well, because drugs, they do one thing. They derail dreams and aspirations, and that's very important to me. Because it happened to me. I grew up and I had dreams and aspirations as any little kid. I wanted to be a professional basketball player, and I wanted to be an astronaut, and I wanted to be a train conductor. I just would dream. I had all these dreams and things that I watched on TV that I wanted to do. And, as I got older, even though I seen what drugs was doing in the community, I never thought it would have an impact on me. And it did. It derailed. It almost killed me. So it almost killed me, and it derailed all of my dreams and aspirations. And thank God I was able to rebound from it. So my advice, if you have dreams, you have aspirations, you have goals, you're going to have to steer clear of certain individuals. You're going to have to stay out of certain environments. You're going to have to stay away from drugs because they will stop you dead in your tracks.
Now, you mentioned something about rebounding. What would you attribute your rebound to?
God's grace. God's ever-loving grace and mercy rescued me from myself, and that was very important.
And how did that show up in your life?
Well, I was able to put down the drugs and alcohol, refocus my vision on what I wanted to do, and then go for it with a gusto. So that was very important. So I don't attribute anything that I've done to me per se, but I thank God for the rescue and the redirected my life in a direction that led me to where I'm at today. So I think that's very important.
You also mentioned steering clear of certain people, and I know that for some young people this can be difficult because things like loyalty and being one of the guys, and these are all the the kind of things that are real in our lives. These are the people I've known all my life. How do I just walk away from them? That's not being a good friend. What would you say to all of that?
Peer pressure and environment, has a major impact on what you will or won't do. And simple as it is to say is, look, I have something to do. That's not my thing. You have to learn to say no and walk away feeling that you've done the right thing. Because trust me, when they're saying, hey man, like let's go do this, let's get high, forget about class, you could do that paper later. Nah, later becomes later, and that becomes later, and then it becomes never. So you just got to get comfortable with it's a 2-letter word. It's a full sentence. No, you could put a no thank you on the end of it. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. Oh, you a coward, you a punk, you this, that. You know what? I'll be that today so I can be successful tomorrow. And I understand those words, you know, they still ring true to me today when people say, hey man, you know, let's go get a drink, or how come you don't drink? I'm like, I'm good, man. I have me a bottle of water, I'm just fine, you know. Well, why don't you drink? And then I asked them, well, why do you drink? To feel good. I said, well, I already feel good, so I don't need to feel any better, you know. So you just learn to, stand for something so you won't fall for anything.
And what would you say were the top resources, the top things, the supports you had around you that helped you along the way?
In terms of what? Putting it down or?
Yeah, well, let's start there.
Well, I initially, I attended 12-step meetings, and I kind of followed the blueprint that was laid out in front of me. And it's something that I still do today, to this day. Almost 29 years, later, I still do the same thing that I was taught to do in the beginning. And, I have a vast support network of friends, people that I talk to at any time of the day and night. And that has sustained me and allowed me to, blossom out and chase some other goals that I've had. And I still have.
And getting away from the friends, the situations and environments that were hindering, I guess, recovery, what other environments did you put yourself in to help you through?
Well, I mean, it's a total effort. Like, not only with the recovery piece, trying to eat right, hobbies. And I was like heavy into rollerblading and bicycle riding. I started to travel. I went back to school. I was able to get a job and stay on my job, the job that I'm still on. I've been on my job for like 21 years. And I'm slowly working my way up. And just generally just feeling, good about the skin that I'm in. Not having to prove anything to anybody. Because now, peer pressure is pretty much a non-factor in my life. You say something to me and I don't agree with it, I'm just about say no, and I'm okay with it. And if I lose a friend here or there, then you may not have really been a friend. But I just want to step back on something. I recently got in contact with a friend of mine that I was in high school with. Now, he's a lawyer, very successful. He was the guy, when we was getting high at lunchtime, he was the guy who said, no, I don't do that. I'm not going to do that. I got to finish my work. And we would say, look, man, you could do that paper later. He was like, I could also do it now. So I haven't seen him in about, 25, 30 years. And I recently got in contact with him. We was reminiscing. So he was like, Riley, like, what's going on? And I said, hey, man, such and such happened. And, he was like, thank God you survived it. So I said, how did you do? He said, man, I didn't do too much. I went to law school. It was just a beautiful, successful story that he told me of his life. And he was the example in high school of what I should have done, but what I do now. So it's ironic, but thank God I made it through, and thank God he's where he's at. So that's a beautiful thing.
And if you could go back and give yourself 1 to 3 pieces of advice, what would that be?
It'd be more than 3. I'm gonna tell you something.
I would have
listened to what my mother said to me. My mother used to say, show me your friends, I'll show you what you're about. Now, I'm a little, I grew up in the 60s, right? The dope fiends and the winos in the 60s and early 70s were an interesting source of information, because they used to tell us, young blood, don't wind up like me. Listen to your parents. Go to school. Don't pick up drugs or you'll wind up just like me. And I heard that so many times. And these were guys that we would consider today to be down and out drug addicts. And they were saying, listen, man, stay away from it. So listen to your elders. Listen to your parents. And I think one of the most important things would be to listen to that inner child that's inside of you that has the dreams and aspirations. Because I think if I think of the little boy inside of me who wanted to be an astronaut. He wanted to be a fireman or a basketball player. And let him know, man, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get us where we need to go. So there's plenty more, but that's. So now when the little guy inside of me says, hey, Riley, man, let's do this. I'm like, let's go. I got you. We're going to do it. And that's what I do.
Now, you mentioned talking about how the old school guys would say, don't be like me.
Yeah.
What do you think kept you from listening to that piece of advice?
Oh, because, I was the smartest person that I've ever met at a young age, and you couldn't tell me anything. And here's the interesting thing about recovery. The very people who I looked down on, laughed at, and didn't listen to are the very people that I depend on today to help me maintain my lifestyle. These are the very same people that I see at meetings today. But the old timers back then, because it was a different culture. So those guys, they would help your moms home with the groceries. They would make sure your moms got in the building safely. They would walk them upstairs. And of course, moms would give them like 50 cents, $1, whatever, right? And they would tell us, hey, man, if I see you doing some wrong, they would squeal on us. They'd tell your moms about, hey, man, they tell your parents, like, look, I see your son or your daughter doing such and such. And here's something interesting about those old timers. If they knew you had potential, whether it was school or sports, they would tell people, they would tell gang members, leave them alone. Leave that person alone. Like they are under my protection. So I was a bookworm in school. I mean, I just loved school. I love everything about school. I did really, really well, and I stayed away from things, but them old timers always kept an eye on us, man. And it's like that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, in my neighborhood, it was unofficially just like that. And the winos, I'm telling you, the winos, the guys that was nodding off heroin, they would tell us, man, listen, look, I at your age, this is what I wanted to do. I made a wrong decision, and this is where I'm at now. Don't wind up like me. I see you going to school every day. You got your books. You help your moms. Stay doing that, and you'll be just fine. But me, I'm the smartest person I know. Hey, man, I got this. I'll figure this. And that's what was, that was my downfall. Mm-hmm. That attitude right there.